Welcome back to MIRA-University. I'm your host AJ, and today we're delving into the world of HAZMAT.
Fire season is now officially the worst ever reported.
So what do we need to know? Well, HAZMAT stands for hazardous materials, such as chemicals, chemical hazards, nuclear waste, industrial pollution, and infectious diseases or biohazard materials infected with infectious diseases. All of these fall into the CBRN category. Forms of HAZMAT can be explosives, gases, flammable liquids or solids, radioactive materials, poisons, and irradiated materials, as well as corrosive substances. The Department of Transportation uses special placards to denote hazardous cargo stored in vehicles, tanks, or other forms of cargo transportation. It is critical to be familiar with these, as you could potentially be exposed to them, and good for just general situational awareness. Let's talk about these placards and what their markings and colors mean. Hazardous explosives are marked with an orange placard and the numbers 1.1 through 1.6. This will tell you what type of explosive is contained on board. Gases. Gases are often denoted by different colors. For example, green is non-flammable, yellow is oxygen, white with skulls denotes an inhalation hazard, and red means that it is a flammable gas. Flammable liquids are on a red placard with the name of the item listed. Oxidizers are listed in yellow or half yellow red with the name of the item displayed on the placard. Radioactive placards simply have the radioactive symbol on a placard with yellow. Now that we've talked about HAZMAT, let's discuss the different levels of suit protection available, starting with the EPA's recommendation for a Level D suit. Level D suit is something that you might wear if you are a construction worker, use eye protection, and have a hard hat on. This combined with overalls is essentially the EPA's recommendation for a Level D suit. Moving on to the EPA suggestion for a Level C suit. A Level C suit is one that contains a suit that covers your entire body, a half-face respirator, and usually some form of eye protection. Now, Level C suits, like the ones next to me, our MOP suit and our HAZ-SUIT, are only Level C because we don't have an SCBA attached to them. With an SCBA used, that would bring them up to a Level B suit. An SCBA is a closed system that stands for self-contained breathing apparatus. This allows the user to continue to breathe recycled air while continuing work or operations. And finally, the EPA suggestion for a Level A suit. If you've ever seen Bubble Boy, you kind of have an idea what we're talking about. If you've ever seen a zombie apocalypse movie or something dealing with a biological outbreak, these are essentially astronaut suits that completely enclose the entire body, are self-contained breathing, and are about the highest level of protection available for just about anybody. Now that we've discussed HAZMAT threats, it's also important to double back and remind ourselves that HAZMAT threats can sometimes also be CBRN threats. And with that, as great as the EPA suggestions are for those ratings, we do want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves with the highest quality gear possible, and for my money, that really starts with a good pair of boots. MIRA Safety boots are going to protect your feet while adding a significant amount of traction in a chemical-rich environment. If you really think about it, most chemical agents will eventually fall to the ground, and that's an excellent way to get infected or contaminated. We don't want to be bringing that into our shelters or bringing it anywhere else when we're trying to make egress. In that same light, we also want to consider that we will need to manipulate things, we will need to work and thrive in a contaminated environment. That is critically important. So we need to make sure that we are using high quality construction butyl rubber gloves to ensure that we are not contaminating our skin and then further spreading that to other objects we will be required to manipulate when evading and countering a threat. With all of this great equipment at our disposal, we want to make sure that we're also covering our skin. Being the largest organ on our body, it is a critical vector of infection or contamination or exposure to any CBRN or HAZMAT threat. The MIRA Safety HAZ-SUIT, offering high tensile strength and rip-resistant fabric, is going to keep you moving, keep you protected in even the most austere situations facing a HAZMAT or a chemical threat. In addition, to my right, we have the MIRA Safety MOP suit. MOP stands for Mission-Oriented Protective Posture. So what makes this different than this? Well, in theory, they essentially do the same thing. They are compatible with all MIRA Safety gear, offers the same rip resistance, and offers superior protection to any threat you may encounter. However, our MOP suit is extremely breathable. If you've ever served in the military, been to Korea, or had to go through any kind of CBRN drill, you know that breathability is a pretty big deal. Well, luckily, our mop suit offers it, so you will no longer have to sweat yourself silly. As important as it is to have great items like this, we also have to remember the little stuff. For example, our chem tape. This chem tape is excellent for sealing the gap between your gloves and your boots and your suit. We don't want to allow any type of hazmat or seaburn threat to seep into our boots, our hands, or any other form of protection that we're currently utilizing. So our chem tape is pretty much the best option that you have. While these are important, it's also great to know what kind of threat that we're facing, and that's where our detect strips come in. So here I have our CW3 detect strips, we have our CW1 and our CW2. Each is rated for a different type of contaminant that you might encounter. Now, we're gonna need to know what it is that we're facing, whether it be hazmat or seaburn borne. So the only way to really do that is going to be utilizing one of these items here, our detect strips. Now, as we know, the key to keeping your specialized survival gear in tip-top shape is proper storage. What we want to make sure that we're doing is ensuring that we're storing our gear in a cool, temperature-stable place, just like everything else, away from light, and if we can, away from chemicals and in a sealed bag. Thanks for attending MIRA-University with us. As always, make sure to subscribe, share, and click that notification bell. Until next time, stay savvy, survivalists. Now, it's time to address the elephant in the room, so we're going to do this in a non-standard format. Look, I know there's a burning question on everybody's mind, and I'm here to address it. And that is, how do you go to the bathroom in one of these suits? Well, considering the fact that we may be contaminated and decon is a very long process, I have some bad news to deliver to you. And I hope you don't hear this advice too often, but you're gonna have to poop your pants. And unfortunately, you don't get to go home at the end of the day. You're gonna have to work through it.